Today I'm going to show you a badass way to remove color casts in Photoshop. Awesome. You guys are going to love this episode. Hey guys, welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace. Find me on Twitter at AKNacer. We've got a really great episode today. Last week we had a complimentary color contest, and this was one of our winners, Nicholas, and we're editing his image today. He's got red and green as complementary colors, and that's exactly what we wanted. But there's a really cool lesson that can be learned here on how to completely get rid of a color cast in your images. Now, especially if, like in today's image where it makes up basically the entire image, this is something that's really, really hard to do. But I'm going to show you guys some really interesting, very cool ways to do it that you've never, ever seen before. Let's get into it. All right. So here's our image by Nicholas. And we can see we've got green on this side and red on this side, complementary colors. Now, looking at this image, I like this image. It's not a question of do I like it or not. It's just a great teaching point showing you guys how you can remove an entire color cast. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to actually get rid of this entire green while leaving the red, and then we're going to bring this green back to skin tone color, which is like, it's going to be very hard, but we're going to do it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Well, I'm going to grab my background layer. I'm going to hit Command J on the background layer. It's going to duplicate that. Now, what we're going to do is use inverse colors to actually cancel out color casts, which is basically like if you have one color and then you add the opposite, you bring them together, you're going to cancel out a color cast. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit Command I, and that's going to invert my layer. It's going to invert the colors on the layer. Now we're going to change this from normal down here to color, and we can see what we've got is basically the invert of those colors, which still looks pretty cool. Now we need an even mixture between one color and the other color. They need to meet in the middle, right? So we're going to set our opacity on this layer to 50%. So you can hit V and then number 5. It's going to set your opacity to 50%. So you can see we've gotten much more grayscale now. Still not perfect, but much more grayscale. But we've canceled out our reds as well. And we don't want to do that, right? Because I said we were going to leave them in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to double click here on this layer, and we're going to go into the channel blending. This is something I don't do a whole lot, but basically here we can choose which channels that's actually going to affect. Our red channel, green channel, and our blue channel. And if we say, well, I want to affect the blue and the red channel, blue and the green, but I don't really want to affect the red channel, we're going to leave those reds intact there, and then we're going to change this color over here. So this is actually what we're going to be doing. And you can even choose to turn those off or not. So a pretty cool way to like just change colors overall and select out a different part. Now, because this color was so saturated, this made up basically our entire image, we're just going to do it again. It didn't get us the exact result we want the first time around because it was like, you know, this color makes up a whole huge part of the image. So we just do the same thing again. Not a big deal. You can keep doing it over and over again. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a stamp visible layer. Shift Option Command E is making a stamp visible layer. I'm going to hit Command J on that now. So now basically we have a layer here. You can see that's just like everything you see. Command J on that, and I'm going to do the same thing, hit Command I again. So we've got our original, the invert, the new version, and then the invert again. Okay, same thing. V and then number 5 is going to change your color back to 50%. Okay, and now what we're going to do is change this from normal down here to color. Now it's like, okay, cool, it's doing its job. It's completely black and white. So what we're going to do again here is double click on here, and I want to say don't be visible where my red channel is. And we can just kind of see, you know, changing these different things, like is this visible where my red channel is visible, is it not? All right, there we go. And that's looking pretty good. So we can see we're reducing that color cast even more. And we've almost got it where we want it to be. Okay, so this is pretty good. We've reduced our color cast. We've lowered the saturation and everything like that of our image. But we can see going from this to that is already pretty good. So we've got some cyans here in one side of his face, and we've got some like slight reds on the other side of the face. Now remember, we want to push this towards the red scale. Now as we push this towards the red scale, what it's going to do is it's going to take those cyans and reduce them and increase those reds, getting us back closer to our original image, but without the green color cast. So to do that, we just opened up a curves adjustment layer. So our adjustment layer will go down to curves. I'm going to grab our red channel, and we're just going to drag this up. And you're going to see, as I do, it's going to reduce the cyans that are here and increase the reds that are present there. Now we can also go to our blue channel and drag this down, and that's going to help us get on basically the same path. All right, pretty good. So depending on where you push and pull these things, you can play around with green, adding it back or subtracting it out even more. There we go. Let's look at that. So depending on where you play with these sliders, you're just going to get slightly different looks. Like if you want even more red, you can do that too. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we're reducing, again, by increasing the reds and decreasing the blues, we are making it shift more towards red and less towards cyan, which is giving us back the original color cast that we wanted, but without the greens. Now we need to figure out a way to select out the skin tone that's left from this image, basically the tones that are not the red, and we need to push those further towards more accurate skin tones. Again, it's not that hard to do. It sounds hard, but it's not that bad. We're going to create a new layer. I'm going to go to Select, up here to Color Range, and we're just going to select the color range that's in a skin. So we're select right there, and I'll bring this fuzziness up. That's how much basically gets selected from the layers underneath. So we're going to bring our fuzziness up, and that's going to turn all these areas into a selection. Notice it's leaving my reds alone. Very cool. Now what we're going to do is basically load this onto a layer mask. So if you have a selection active, you can click on Adjustment Layers. We're going to go up to Color Balance. There we go. And what it's going to do is it's going to load your selection into the layer mask of the color balance layer. So this color balance adjustment layer is only going to affect the camera left side of his face where that cyan is. And then we can just kind of push these around too. If I want to pull it towards red, there we go. And skin is orange, right? Like, do I look orange to you? I should, because that's what color skin is. People just have different variations of red or orange in their skin. So, or sorry, red and yellow in their skin making orange. So that's basically what you want to do when you're trying to like bring something that's not a neutral skin tone. Just push it to orange, and red and yellow work together. We're going to pull a little bit of green out of there. Let's pull a little bit more yellow, and then pretty soon we're looking pretty close to neutral skin tones there in the shadow. So we selected out those problem areas, and now we've enhanced those a little bit more. Now let's look at our original. We had a little bit deeper reds here in original. So if you want to do the same thing the other way around, not that hard again, just go back, let's create another layer, go to Select, over here to Color Range, and then we can just select these reds. There we go, on that side of his face. Let's push that up a little bit more. So we're selecting out these reds, and then you can, again, go to Color Balance. There we go, and I can just push them even farther towards red. There we go, and pull them a little bit past magenta. All right, we probably don't need to go that far if we don't want to, but there we have our color cast. Now, it did leave a little bit of cyan here, and the reason it did is because if you look at this layer mask, we might not have selected quote-unquote as much as we could have. Basically, you could bring your fuzziness up. So if that's what you're getting, like a little bit of cyan, all you have to do, let's just make those back invisible. We'll load this layer mask as black. So let's click on here, and I'm going to hit Shift, Delete, and I'm going to fill that with black, okay? Well, apparently it's got to be visible. All right, so we'll fill that layer mask with black. Then we're just going to go back here, go to Select Color Range again, this side, and I'm just going to bring up my fuzziness a little bit, and you can even use this plus eyedropper. There we go, and that's going to just select out a little bit more. Okay, so we can load that now. I'm going to hit Command-I on that layer mask. We can load that onto that layer mask, and that's what's going to cause us a little bit better of a selection. So we just had it basically include more. All right, guys, and we have completely gotten rid of a color cast in this image, which is awesome. And we brought what was like 100% green skin tone back to a neutral looking skin tone, which is very cool. There are other things you could do to kind of like fix this up and things like that, but going from this to that is pretty amazing. And we did it using complementary colors and reversing these colors. So we're canceling out colors using their complementary colors, then selecting specific color ranges, and then changing those as well. Really, really cool stuff. You guys can use this if you have, an image where someone's outside and they've got like a weird like neon sign right next to their head and it's casting a bad color on their face or something like that. You can use the same exact technique to cancel out those colors as well. So it has all kinds of really cool applications in normal work, not just when you're trying to do something super fancy like this. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks so much for watching Phlearn, guys. I really, really appreciate you spending time with me. I'll Phlearn you later. Bye, everyone.